Now who's that sneaking in my orchard? Some silly trickster making me burn lantern oil? You'd better come out before I get upset. Come out, wherever you are. Lucky for you, I'm not upset yet. I just want to see you. You won't like me when I'm upset. You won't like that very much at all, little mouse. Hey there. I thought it might be you. I saw you take a picture of the house the other day. You're one of those urban explorer types, aren't you? I could tell from the cargo pants. Curious about the spooky estate? You know you could have knocked. I'm not averse to visitors. I'm a very gracious host. A man of wealth and taste, if you will. What's the matter? Devil got your throat? Taken aback by my good looks? My mysterious charm? Oh no, I'm not mad. If anything, I'm amused. This old dark estate really strikes a chord with people's imaginations. That much is obvious. It's what drew me here too, after all. I'm feeling whimsical, so I suppose I can show you around if you like. But on one condition. One little requirement. If you touch anything on my estate, you can never leave. Oh, I'm very serious. Break that rule, and you can never leave. Maybe I'm a serial killer, and I'm going to chop you into pieces. Maybe I'm a demon, and I'll eat your soul. Or maybe I'm a warlock, and I'll turn you into a cat. Fool around and find out, as the kids say. Still curious? Willing to risk it? Very well, my brave little friend. Tell me, before we begin our tour, what do they say about this place? I need to adjust the tour to your expectations. Oh, come on, that makes no sense historically. That's so silly. That's like Travel Channel level stuff. I mean, first of all, there were no actual witches at the Salem witch trials. It was just mass hysteria. And even if there were, they wouldn't have fled all the way to Michigan. And if that were true, even if all that was legit, that all would have been almost 200 years before this estate was even built. Next, you're gonna tell me the Loveland Frog lives in my basement. Sorry. Just such a silly story. Especially since there's so much that actually happened here. Would you like to hear it? I can get a little long-winded. This whole estate was owned by Abraham J. Fowler, the glass baron that founded the city. Every part except this orchard we're standing in. This orchard was the property of Ephraim Moses Larson, a local farmer. Fowler coveted it for its beauty and because he already owned all the land around it. Larson wouldn't sell, though. He was attached to the place. Legend says his daughter had loved the place before she'd passed from tuberculosis, and he made it the way it was as part of his obsessive drive to memorialize her. Fowler wasn't the type to take no for an answer. He sued Larson over a boundary dispute. The accusations were largely made up, but he had the resources to keep the trial going and going. The plan was to bankrupt Ephraim with legal fees, force him to sell. Then came the Great Blizzard of '83. Ephraim had an appointment in the capital in front of the state appeals court. He never made it. They say his daughter came for him in the snow and took him to the promised land. It said Fowler felt a terrible remorse for what he'd done, but it didn't stop him from buying the orchard from the next of kin. He did his best to keep it the way Ephraim had left it, perhaps out of regret. Fowler was good at that, regretting things he'd done after it was far too late to change anything. He sent his servants out that fall to harvest the apples, but they came back with these. Lovely looking fruit, right? But you'll see one problem. They're made of glass. Every autumn, hundreds and hundreds of glass apples fall from these trees, shattering on the ground. This orchard will never be able to bear true fruit again. Those are the wages of sin. Care to come inside? I promise it only gets spookier. If I was you, I'd say no. Oh, you brave fool. Incredible, isn't it? I suppose a glass baron's home should be full of glass, after all. He made this maze of mirrors in order to make the home seem even bigger than it already was. It said some people would get lost in this house for days. Some even say that he made a deal with the devil to make it bigger on the inside. Don't stare too long. You might see somebody you know. Follow me to the study. Take my hand, or you might get lost. Your hands are warm and rough. You remind me of somebody. When did I move here? Oh, I've lived in this town for a very, very long time. Some would say I've been here since the very beginning. Oh, hello there, Ulysses. It's not food time yet. This is Ulysses the cat. He's a cutie, isn't he? A little amorphous black blob. He's a lot like you. Curious and adventurous. And rather cute. He came here on a night just like tonight and touched something without my permission. Now he's my little prisoner forever and ever. Isn't that right, you little rascal? Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Now run along, little guy. I've got to show around this guest of ours. Welcome to the study. The throne room where Fowler ruled the city. Taken aback by that stained glass window. Beautiful, right? It was Fowler's masterpiece. Before he was a baron, he was a master glass stainer, and this was the culmination of his life's work. The centerpiece of his office. It's a celebration of the city, all the great events of its last 100 years. The arrival of the first settlers on the Erie Canal, his factory in the center of town, the regiment they sent to Honest Abe during the War of the Southern Treason. Shiny, happy people building a wonderful city, holding hands and singing songs, working together for a better tomorrow, all under the guidance of old Mr. Fowler. Lovely, lovely picture, isn't it? But do you want to see something really cool? Let me adjust the light on my lantern. It's all different now, isn't it? All the veneer of selfishness has washed away. Now the window depicts all the sins that led to the creation of the city you call home. And we see the time he brought in the Pinkertons to break the Great Strike of '94, the burning streets during the race riot of '06, the bombing campaign of 1919 that got blamed on the anarchists, but was really him trying to drive out all the retail shops and banks that he didn't own out of town. And of course, old Ephraim freezing to death out in the snow. all under the watchful eye of the city's greatest sinner. Nothing but sin. Beautiful, beautiful sins. Why would he make this? He didn't. At least not intentionally. But a cursed tree bears rotten fruit. He couldn't hide what he'd done anymore. It said anyone who walked in here saw the second image, but they all pretended that they saw the first. Then one day, he saw it too. And poor Mr. Fowler. Well, his little old heart just gave out. They buried him downtown in the Episcopalian cemetery. He never left this old dark house, though. You can meet him if you'd like. You see that vase over on the desk? I made it myself. I'm no glass baron, but I accounted for myself pretty good. Why don't you stick your ear on the mouth of it and listen? Just be careful you don't touch it. Fowler's ghost wandered these halls for many a year, afraid to die, for he knew what fires awaited him. The most powerful man in the city was reduced to a shadow on the wall. Pathetic. Oh, he's harmless. Just the spirit of a sad, broken old man. Couldn't hurt a fly even if he wanted to. I tried to just ignore him, but I found his crying to be tiresome. So I stuck him in that vase and gave him something to really cry about. Listen to those lovely, lovely screams. What's the matter? You look a little disturbed. I never said this place wasn't haunted after all. Those glass apples should have been a warning. You urban explorers aren't good with any warning signs though, are you? Scared? Want me to call your mommy? You feed off of misery and decay, and yet you're all just cowards, aren't you? Never faced anything scarier than some homeless people and junkyard dogs. Well, now you can say you've seen something really scary. Are you impressed with the estate? Is it as spooky as you'd hoped? I bet this would make for a really interesting Instagram post. I hope you've enjoyed it, because you'll be here for a very, very long time. Don't you remember back in the maze? You broke my little rule. Oh, you haven't touched anything? Are you sure? You took my hand earlier, did you not? That counts in my book. Now. We had a deal, didn't we, little wanderer? Did you think it was a game? You think that I'm just some eccentric that lives in a spooky old house? You shouldn't play games with the devil. Well, I did say that. Tonight I'm feeling whimsical. If you expected a game, then let's play one. Take this candle. You have until it goes out to find your way out of this house. If you can leave, then you're free to go. If the candle goes out, though, well, then I hope you enjoy wandering aimlessly in the dark, because you'll be doing that for quite a long time. My estate always has room for more lost souls. You better get moving, little mouse. The candle's already looking pretty weak. I'd say you have anything from 2 hours to 5 minutes. You won't get another. And the sun isn't coming up tomorrow. Not for you, at least. Nobody is coming to help you. May the road rise to meet you, traveler.